Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Recreational Sniper. In this short episode, I'm going to be going over the methods that I use when I am trying to load with a specific bullet and powder combination, and there are no published load data for that combination. This is where I start, and this is how I kind of use existing load data for different bullet types with the powder that I'm wanting to run, and I kind of guesstimate from that. Now, obviously, I cannot recommend doing this. I would always recommend that if you have, or if you can, use the existing published load data, use the powder that they're using for the bullet that they're using, and the primer type and all of that. But sometimes you will come across components that you're wanting to use. Say, like, for instance, I have a whole bunch of US 869 powder. I have a whole bunch of that in stock. Well, not in stock, but I have a whole bunch of it at the house. And I'm using a 145 grain Barnes match burner. Well, there's the website that I like to use. This one here is from Shooter's Reference, and it's kind of a compilation of all published load data, at least most of it. So they got really good menu options. Like if you go to their 65 PRC section, this is all published manufacturer load data. It even tells you the shell holder size depending on what brand you're using. And you've got bullet weights from 85 grains all the way up to like 156. And then you've got all the different powder types that are commonly used, all the published load data out there for every powder type that there is. So what I'll do is, since I have US 869 powder, and that's what I want to try to use, and I'm running a heavy bullet anyway, so the really slow burning powder will actually work out and help very well. I unselect all, and then I go down the list and find US 869, select only that one, and it's only going to pull up the bullet weights and bullet types that have published load data for that. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm running 145 grains, I'm going to come down here that I see that they've got a 143 with some published load data with that powder, and then I see that they have a 147 with published load data for that powder. Alright, so we're going to look at the 143 and see that they started load was 61.2 grains and the maximum was 68 grains, and at maximum they run around 2982. And then with the 147, their starting date load was 59.3 and they went up to 66.3. So in between, for the 145 grain bullet, since that's a 147, this is a 143, I'm going to pick something in between there to start with, and I'm going to kind of pick it a little bit on the lower end. So I'm going to look at this, and this was 61 was the starting load. I decided to pick 65 grains as my starting load, which will be close to the max for the 147, but I'm running a lighter bullet, and it's going to be in about directly in between the max, or in the middle between the starting load for the 143 and the between the 61 grains and 68 grains. So 65 grains for me, that I can just guess that that's going to be probably a good starting load. It's also important to know that their COL that they're running with these bullets is 2.945 for the 143 and 2.945 for the 147. The OAL that I'm running on the 145 match burner is 3.130, so a little bit longer, quite a bit longer, about 2/10 longer than what they're running. So seating the bullet out a little further is going to actually reduce the pressure a little bit, give it a little bit more space inside the case for the powder. And so these, I'm not running a compressed load by any means. Whereas right here where that C is, they're saying that this is a compressed load at max load data. So which means that they're kind of crunching the powder in the case. Now on the 147, it's not a compressed load, and my guess is that this bullet is actually shorter in length than this one, and that's the reason why it's not compressed. But again, also and if you look, you can, when you're on the website, you can open up this little question mark here, and it will tell you that they were using a 24-inch test barrel to get these velocities. The barrel on my rifle is 27 inches, so I may get, 50 or 60 feet per second more than what they're showing here. But that's just kind of the way to go. That's the way I'm starting my testing, and I just wanted to share with y'all kind of a method that I use when I'm trying to come up with a starting load for components that do not have published load data for them. So running a 145 grain match burner using the US 869, my starting load is going to be 65 grains, and that should get me pretty close to where I want to be. It's still safe because it's less than the max for both of these. It's going to be under the maximum for both of these. The max on that one, on the heavy bullet, is 66.3, so I've got some wiggle room. I would say the max for the 145 is probably going to be around 67 to 67 and a half grains. But yeah, and doing this, the goal that I have is I want to be able to run this 145 grain match burner. I want to try to get 3,000 feet per second out of it. They're almost at 3,000 feet per second with the 143. And if you look at the pressure, they've still got quite a bit of wiggle room there. This cartridge can run up to, I believe, 65,000 psi, so there's still quite a bit of wiggle room. They could have pushed this a little higher, but what Hodgdon does with their published load data is they're only going to push the cartridge as high as it's going to maintain accuracy. When it starts losing accuracy, pushing it hotter, they're not going to publish that. They're not going to publish a hotter load than what they found to be accurate in the rifle that they were testing. So, and who knows, maybe 3,000 feet per second is not going to work out for my purposes, but I would really like to see it get to 3,000, and that's what I'm going to try to do. So there you go. If you're having trouble finding load data for the components you're using, you can always look up load data that is close, that's similar. Like, my bullet is literally in the middle between the 143 and the 147 in weight. Now, I will say that the bullet that I'm using is longer than both of these in length. The match burners are really long, really sleek, really high ballistic coefficient. So my OAL is going to be longer by default. They are outside of what will fit in the magazine, so these will be single feed only for the most part. But yeah, I just wanted to let y'all in on that and kind of explain some things when it comes to trying to figure out a good starting point, especially if there's nothing published for the components that you're using. So leave your questions and comments below, and we'll see you next time in the next video. Thanks for watching.